a day, a week looks in the life of Al and also in the life of Ken, and understanding the value of what we bring here is creating adaptability and flexibility, which is a great point that Ken always makes, to each man's individual needs, because it changes. And we're going to go through my routines, what I do, why I do what I do. Ken's going to break them down. He's going to talk about alternate scenarios, because there are many parts that are all Al's parts, but which one is the best? And that's why I work closely with Ken. He's going to help me through this. But I've just listed a couple of points, just why, because it's not about why we do things. It's not about just the human body and becoming superhuman. For me, it's about how that ties into the structure of, one, leveraging that for my family and other moving parts of my life, but two, making sure that I'm also spending time and focusing on other parts of my life, one of them being right here and now in RDM. So what we'll do is we'll dive into a weekly routine for me, what I do, and then what I do on a daily basis. But before I start that, I'd love to throw it onto Ken first, and just to talk about the importance of changing up the game plan, being flexible and finding the path that suits you, and probably a couple of core elements, if you want, Ken, of what the framework is around how we build each individual plan or tailor each plan, mate, and why that's important.
No, yeah, it's a really good point. And what we need to be really aware of is that we need to put a plan together. That's what it's all about. Like, success builds, you have to build a plan and understand what your day-to-day routine is. Most of us, and I'll kind of put my hand up and say, I really, really like routine. And I know there's some key areas in my day-to-day routines that I pretty much don't go without. But remember, with all of this, it's not about what you do from day to day or week to week. It's really about what you can do over that 12-month period. Remember, and I'll emphasize very, very strongly that your body rebuilds itself, 98% of it, over 12 months, and the next 2 years, that other 2%ers. And so this is why we've got to be thinking about what our day-to-day routines are. And hey, listen, we go on holidays, we have different things that we can't control in our immediate life through family, self, and service, as you advocate a lot of, Al, and there's things that we can control. But always you need to have a plan. And at least if you're kind of wanting to make a big change, 90% of your structure should be followed if you want to see big change. The maintenance is the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the time you're obviously looking at least that maintenance plan. And remember, that goes for finance, it goes for relationship, it goes for everything within your life. And again, like 20% of the world's population generally or generates, the most amount of money, the most amount of success, or even up to like the 10%, and 90% or 80% of the population is just kind of hanging on for the ride. And so this is where we slot ourselves into that top 10. And that's what we're trying to do, strive for excellence, but without a plan, a day-to-day plan, or at least a week and a month plan, that micro stuff from that day to day, then we start to get into the meso stuff, the month to month, and then the macro, where we start looking at that 1, 3, 5 year and potentially 10-year plan. So they're really important to have structure within that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we spoke about one of our sessions last night with our platinum guys, talking about playing the percentages. If you're 95% strict or even 90% strict over 5 days, the weekend you can pull back to about 60, 65% adherence. So that's a lot of leeway. That's cutting down a third of perceived discipline or what you would normally do as your plan. And you're still going to hit, like Ken said, that roughly that 80 to 85% mark on the success rate of being consistent in what's important for you to keep moving forward. Problem is, people go into the minuses, Ken. The weekend comes and they go from maybe 100%. All right, I was a saint for 5 days, and then they fucking blow themselves out of the water and go to minus 150%. By going crazy with drugs, alcohol, technology, TV, like everything coming through your sensory perceptions, your chemical adjustments inside of your body through technology, through drugs, through foods, through copious amounts of foods or superficial or artificial products, not foods, but we call them products. But this is where people miss the mark. I was really good. I was tracking. I'm only on 1,500 calories a day. I'm like, one, that's way too fucking little. And two, yeah, but you're having like 9,000, 10,000 calories on the weekend of all this shit. Have you not counted that? Oh, I forgot, So it's really important to, one, play the percentages, but two, I love the angle that Ken comes from with routines, and everyone has a different opinion or perception around the words self-control and discipline. I've done podcasts before, Canberra. I don't believe they actually need to be in place for a long period of time. Like what Ken does every day, which he'll share, it's a habit, which is a belief system. It's part of who he is. And I know some guys out there, you might wear that discipline badge of honor, like this is because I'm disciplined. Well, no, you're disciplined for the first portion of your journey. But then, like Ken said, if we're going to describe 12 months, like what are you guys going to get out of this? Everything I'm going to share with you this week and what I do daily, I've been doing consistently, but I'm not going to sit down and just go, so over 12 months, I've done 180 training sessions. I've journaled, 248 times. What would that mean? So the long game is absolutely critical, just like Ken's saying. That's what creates the new version of you. But what I love today is we're going to strip this back to help you understand, one, the small disciplines you need to put in place, but two, why that goes from being either a discipline or a form of self-control or a tussle. As you would know, Ken, with a lot of your clients, all of our clients, it's a to and fro battle until all of a sudden there's a breakthrough and it becomes part of who you are. What's the general time frame though, mate? Because I know we have some amazing accelerators inside of what we do because of how deep we dive into our processes with these men. But what is the general range you would find where we can get someone implementing some of the things that you and I will share and it becoming something that sticks? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it 12 months? Like when does it become like, cool, I've got it? Or in your experience, when have you found that to be the sweet spot?
The sweet spot really comes down to someone's mindset. It's what goes on within their day-to-day life. And that's something that is really comes down to the individual. This is why we look at the three things. But when it comes to this situation, it's the mindset. It's what obstacles are in place and what you've overcome. And is it actually something that is very close to you, as far as if you've had someone that's had some kind of terminal illness around you and they've passed away and whatever else, well then all of a sudden that mindset becomes very focused. So that's why you have to look at every individual on what their current situation or what their past situation's been. I can promise you now, when I was inside of, say, Fitness First as a cluster manager and looking after more than 150 trainers and managing multiple gyms, what I had was as basically a conveyor belt, turnover, a lot of trainers that kind of were just pushing people through conveyor belt sessions, just same session. And that relationship that I always kind of come down to, when you're working with someone, you have to build trust in that person. You have to earn their respect so that you're taking them on a journey. And where I find the biggest change that I can have with people and people that I've always worked with is trying to get them to focus on a 3-month time period. That's where I can change their lives around. And let me be clear about this. It's not changing a few kilos on the scales. It really is about changing their mindset. It's about changing their lives around, because when people come to me, it's generally, and where you'll see on any kind of research or anything else, it's all about weight loss. But the unfortunate thing is people don't realize weight loss on the scales isn't the key area that you need to be working on. Really, it's about changing your mindset. It's about giving you the tools to work with so that when you have an issue or a red flag in your life and something happens and you fall off or you fall out of focus on what you're trying to achieve, it's really about having the tools yourself to then implement them and then to take control of the next step or the next journey or the next week, month, 3 months of your life, so that then you are then again be able to be able to get back on track as quick as you can. And this is why I talk about so many different things with people, and they say, well, how can you help me? And this is a thing. Sometimes I've got to be able to train people and show them the journey and map it out with them day by day, week by week, so that I can keep them focused enough so that they can see the change to then motivate them to then achieve the ultimate result, being whether it be 5% body fat, whether it be 3 kilos on the scale. Some people need, and I'll be honest, like women need to be seeing the scale weight come down, whereas men need to see themselves getting stronger, being more resilient. But in my case, when I'm working with them, I'm looking at their posture. I'm looking at about giving them the right tools so that at least I can get up to 80% of the time they're eating whole foods. I'm looking at their sleep. And that's the last thing that most people kind of, when they have a conversation with me, that they're really looking at. But unfortunately, this is the education that I'm trying to instill in them so that they can control themselves. I'm all about getting them healthy first. And that's not about weight loss. It's really about training their mindset and giving them tools to achieve the ultimate result. And not over a day or a week, but hey, they're little wins on the board that they see from one day to the next. They might have dropped 500 grams on the scales and they go, hey, shit, that's a win on the board. Or they've drank, like, say, 2 liters of water where they haven't been drinking any water. That's a win on the board. There's 2 wins. And you know what? They've eaten good food, or you know what? They haven't eaten the best food, but they've taken the shit and the genetically modified foods out of their diet. They haven't had any alcohol. Listen, there's 4 wins on the board already. So that's a massive, massive win-win-win for these people. And that's really what it's about. It's really about not doing it every day, but at least maybe 80% of the time, getting those wins on the board. And then when we kind of put those together, not so much over one day, but over a week, a month, and 3 months, all of a sudden, all of these wins on the board from the blood work that we get, from the DEXA scans that we get, and from the communication and the dashboard that we're coaching and looking at those percentages, like, they are massive wins. They are life-changing scenarios that is what I'm trying to teach and what I'm trying to coach people on a day-to-day basis. And that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I couldn't agree more. Like, we're about racking up thousands and thousands of little victories.
Yeah.
The biggest problem that anyone will ever face is always solved with the smallest solution. Always, mate. It always is. And when you talk about mindset, this is the crazy part that I've seen and read in I've read so many different habit books and looked up different papers and research. And there's always generally a range between 18 and 180 days when something becomes a habit. Yet some people, cold turkey, can give up the darts. Like you said, Ken, one of their friends could die from throat or lung cancer. Who knows? And then all of a sudden, bang, the mindset changes. And their habit of smoking a packet a day immediately disappears, just like alcohol. So when we're looking at the mindset side of things, it's critical to understand that for people to build in habits, there's such a big range or sweet spot, but it's really influenced by your mindset. And your mindset is a collective of your internal environment and what you continually feed and build in yourself with your actions and the small wins, as Ken suggests, coupled with the right external environment that's going to also give you a larger energy source than you individually in influencing you to move forward. Coaching and tribe, right? This is what we do. Like, if Ken just gives you a program, awesome, well done, I've laid everything out for 12 months, I'll see you in 365 days, let's have a meeting. Of course, that's not going to work anywhere near as close to being successful at the highest level when you've got someone like Ken, when you're touching base every single week, literally every single week. And what you mentioned earlier, before we hit record, like with me, I wake 8 times last night. I don't know if that'll show, but I'll try and put that up there. But those white lines, that's when I'm awake. So for me to get 7.5 hours sleep, I slept in till 7:30 this morning. And it's very interesting because we're about to dive into my weekly routines that I've consistently done for a long time now. But the flexibility is why I keep winning. And that's a horrific night. Like, I'm just looking at this now, and mate, just these little snippets where I've gone deep straight away, awake again, and I feel like I've been bashed, Ken. And whilst I got 7.5 hours sleep, my score is still reasonable. It's 78, my sleep score. My readiness score is pretty solid too, 81. Could be better, but this is life. This is the game. Maybe I don't have 24 hours in a day at the moment, Ken. I need to be in bed for 10 hours to get 8 sleep, and that's okay. This is what it's about. But did you want to start with me first, Ken, or yourself? What do you want to dive into in terms of our?
We will. And I just want to just emphasize on one thing there. And I've said this many times again, people are very, very reactive rather than proactive. And this is where the biggest issue is with people, and especially when I've worked with people. In many years, I was a massage therapist dealing with strength and conditioning guys with like Australian Rugby League and all these guys and whatnot. I've generally, worked with, I'm also a craniosacral therapist, and I've worked with cancer patients and things like that. And remember, all these things are systemic. And like looking at your sleep patterns just there, Al, the thing is, you can see that we've got the Oura Ring, we've got the algorithms, we're seeing what's going on. But you know what? This might only happen for you over 1 day, 1 week, off and on. But now it's about being able to tell you, and we're going to go through this now, what tools or what levers can you pull to really give you the best outcome. And we'll go through this now. I won't talk about it until we kind of dig a little bit deeper into this. And we'll show you how you can really get the most out of your day with being awake 8 times.
Yeah. Because it's hard, mate, when you wake up and you got a headache and you feel like, shit, man, I just got bashed last night. We got Lillian and Roman. Stella's pretty good now, although she was our firstborn and she took nearly 4 years before she slept through the night for the first time. So that was a nightmare in itself. But look, the thing, just before we dive into this, that I want to make clear is, a lot of you might see or hear what I'm doing, but that's all surface. That's all surface stuff, what I'm sharing. That's 10% of what I actually do. What I do in the background with myself, with RDM, with my family, which I'll open up some of this sort of stuff. But that's what's going to serve Alan Hour's life. That's why even with RDM, there's so many people that copy us now with different various programs for men and fathers. And that's cool. I don't even care, because what we show on the front end, there's so much back end work to continually deliver that, as well as the inner circle, that people will never understand or get or even reach, because there's a fuckload of work involved. But here's something just to emphasize our 4 pillars, fellas. Like, when you're listening to this, everything I do and everything I preach, I practice as well. And our 4 pillars, alignment, energy, immersion, and performance, are critical to my success, as well as the fathers, which anytime when I give a mindset session is a reflection of all the fathers I learn from. It's not just Al. It's critical to live and breathe that. So as I dive into this, please have that in mind. I've got alignment. Where am I going and why? I'm trying to generate as much energy as possible. I'm immersing in the tribe and having that accountability with the tribe. And I'm working with a high-end coach like Ken to make sure that I'm dialing in my performance to get the most bang for my buck. And on top of that, what do, Ken? We track the right numbers. There's no point going, I did an awesome session. I burnt 800 calories or I burnt 1,200 calories. I did this or did that. You're tracking the wrong fucking numbers. My one number is sleep. I know if I can get that number really high as a score, I dominate everything else.
Yep.
Dominate everything else. So instead of getting up at 6 o'clock this morning and doing a training session, yesterday was a great training session, Ken. I'm a little bit busted. You know what? When I do my HRV that says be careful today and take it easy, limit intensity, you're right, Ken. It might just be a 15-minute meditation. But look, I'll let Ken take the reins on that when I give him some of my feedback of the week and day. But what I do, guys, is I connect family, self, and service. So every Sunday, I'm linking up with Corinne. She's the other half. She's what connects our children and their routines as well, whether it's doctor's appointments or different various activities or routines or commitments. Cool. Here's our whiteboard in the kitchen. What are we doing for the week? What do we have for the kids? When are you going to train? What do you need to do for yourself? And then from there, because I've got flexibility around my routine, this is what I need to do. So straight away from the get-go, I set what we call a weekly tab, which is targets, actions, and the version of who I will be and need to be to execute in those areas, family, self, and service. So that's what I do straight away, Ken. Every Sunday afternoon with Corinne, we set up a week. When are we going to have some honey and Handsome time, you and me? Is a day, morning, nighttime, cool. 3 of those a week. That's 40 to 60 minutes. It's not a huge amount of time, but it's letting her know that she's important. She's my wife. I must dedicate time to her and listen to her. That's very important. That's going to be a podcast episode I'll do later in the week. You know, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. So even though I'm talking now, I'm talking so Ken can dissect it and pull it apart and put it together for me. But this is critical. It sets up the week the right way. What's my weekly tab? And then on a daily level, what's my one thing? We call it a MIP. What's my most important thing for my family for Monday, which was doing more landscaping, setting up the backyard so there's a bigger play area for the kid and building out their mud kitchen. What's self? Well, as a training session yesterday, as well as hitting 250 grams of protein. They're my 2 markers at this stage. And service, I was making sure the guys are all set up. I'm continually developing our coaches, and we had a HPF coaching session last night. Done. That's my daily priority. But what I do day to day, it changes with our journal, and I pop that in there. But for me, my routines, Ken, are really built around a couple of key things. My sleep score, and using that as leverage to know what I need to prioritize and focus, even in what I've prioritized for the day. My protein, so making sure I've got my adequate RDM shake set up, make sure I've got my meat, my meal prep done. So whether I'm buying a kilo of mince, so it's going to give me 3 solid meals, because a kilo after everything comes down to probably about 700 grams. That gives me about 220 to 250 a hit. Beautiful. I've got 3 meals. It's mince. That's going to give me 50 grams because mince is a little bit less percentage-wise than protein like a lean steak. Beautiful. So I'm bringing that in. So there's a lot of nuances in here, guys, that we're not going to dive into today, but it's become accumulative knowledge from Ken and from life experience. Dinners, what does that look like? So we're planning on that Sunday. I'm actually planning our meals with my wife as well. We're planning the bulk meat that we're going to buy and how we're going to cook it. It's so easy to get that lined up. You have no idea how it's harder to go pissing in the wind, Ken, because you're chewing up mental space to go, when do I need to do this? Mate, my week's set. In terms of a couple of key areas, I don't have to think anymore. But yeah, that's what I work off to start with. And then I'll dial into a couple of other things like habits and whatnot. But that's how I start my weekend. I get my Sunday sorted for the week ahead. And then every day, I actually change my day up based on sleep. And I build in my protein and meat. I allocate my training sessions roughly throughout the week. And then I solidify them every day because I create a time block, whether it's meditation or work or other things. That's what I do as a starter, Ken. Last night was a horrible night's sleep. I'm not feeling great, even though I got 7.5 hours sleep, and that's where I am, with my sleep score. What would you suggest, mate? I've had a horrible night's sleep. I've set up the week. I was planning on training today. I've got my protein and meat all sorted. I've got my supplements as well and my shakes to sort me out. But, mate, today I do feel a bit bashed.
Yeah, so yeah, really interesting. And that's why... when you're using a high performance coach or you're using a coach, or really at the end of the day, not everyone has access to a coach and understands the mechanisms and what levers to pull. So in your situation there, no doubt we've already gone through and we've designed your plans for your exercise plan, your daily routines. And again, things change from day to day sometimes. So your absolute foundation is nutrition, pretty much with what you were saying. We've got your minimum protein requirements. But looking at that, so if all of a sudden, here I am talking to you today, you've had eight waking sessions last night, the sleep hasn't been the quality sleep that I would expect you to get, or for any person to get for that matter. And we know the mechanism why you're getting like the broken sleep. It's because of the kids. It's not because of you've got any other underlying issues that we've coached you through and we've dug in a lot deeper and seen what's going on there. It's really because of the kids and whatnot. And that's something that I know that is something quite easily to work with, because if it's something chemical or emotional underlying, well, then that's where we've got to look at the blood work. We've got to look at other different strategies. But really simple with you, Al, we know it's due to the children waking up and whatever things, and you're attending to the children. So now today, if it's a physical workout that we've got planned for you on this Tuesday, well, then guess what? The physical workout doesn't necessarily have to be done. What we could do is, again, what we spoke about just recently, about you can do a stretch session, you can do a meditation session. Even if you don't feel like, or you don't have the time frame, we could look at trying to throw in somewhere maybe a 20-minute power nap during the day. Because of you haven't had that real quality sleep, we look at the algorithms within your Oura Ring. We can have a look at that. We know that your deep sleep hasn't been there. We know that maybe you've got a little bit more REM sleep, which is your rapid eye movement, etc. And then we know that chemically within your body, your cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone, have been elevated. So guess what we do when it comes to nutrition? We add a few more fats into your diet. So today might be a great day to add some fish oil into your diet, just double up your fish oils, and that'll reduce inflammation. We can look at kind of adding half an avocado. We can look at kind of anything like that, doubling your fat content just today, your good fats. Or guess what? Because you haven't had a lot of great time, you get the kids, or you get the couple of kids. If you've got a half an hour in your day, you get them out. If it's a beautiful day, you go for a walk with them, just getting a bit of sunshine, things like that, which will increase your vitamin D3 levels. That will lower the cortisol levels, just simple things like that. And guess what? Your sleep might be better tonight. And then you can throw in the workout that you're going to do today, the resistance, into tomorrow's workout. Remember, it's not, your workouts are not set I want you to do this on a Monday. I want you to do this workout on a Wednesday. I want you to do this workout on a Friday. Everything's flexible. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you've done. It's looking about what your wins are and what your losses are. And let's just get more wins and losses on the board. And then really, we look at the end of the week. We look at the week that's gone and we go, okay, that was a shit week. What I'm going to focus on is a better week. So again, diving into, so making sure that your hydration is very, very high. Every process, every mechanism that works within your body requires good hydration, anti-inflammatory effect if you've had no sleep or very little quality sleep, and then we can improve it like that. It doesn't matter if you don't hit your protein levels today. Let's just say you're on 200 grams of protein. If you hit 150 today, guess what? It doesn't really matter. We can push it up a little bit tomorrow. If you hit 150 tomorrow, yeah, that's 300, and I know we want to try and hit 400. Guess what? What we'll do is we'll try and just slowly creep it up over the next 2 or 3 or 4 days. At the end of the day, at the end of the week, if we're short by 10%, it doesn't really matter, because guess what? That was a shit week. I promise you now, if you are planning your days, your weeks, your months, you will not have 60% and 70% as week on, week on, week on. It's bullshit. I don't believe anyone, and it means they're not putting the priorities in their day-to-day, or they're not planning. That's what it comes down to. You really have to set your plan together, look at the wins on the board, look at the runs that you're getting, the wins, look at the losses, and what can you change, not so much on that day, but at the end of the week, if it is a daily thing that you need to look at, what the losses you've got, what the wins are, what can I do better the next day? What can I do better from the week that I just had to the week that's coming? So that's why exactly what you're saying, you need to plan that. And if you're not planning, you're going to be absolutely getting more losses on the board, and that's not a good thing. Yeah.
And that's what becomes chronic, Ken. A lot of you guys, can you see the value when you're listening to what he's saying there? You know, and it's, I get out there to try and win 7 days every week. Of course I do. I rise to win. That's one of our war cries inside RDM. Every week I win, but within that week, it's laced with ups and downs. It really is. But because of what Ken said then and how I structure and adjust and have that flexibility, I continually turn around where the pitfalls might be, whether it's sleep, training, and injury with training, nutrition, being slack or lazy if I was on meal prep, or we've got meal prep, the wife's used it for something else with the kids for meal. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, hang on a minute. How do I turn this around, get back in front? It's not as hard as guys think, but can you guys see the value and understand when you have something or someone like Ken, and you have coaches in your corner that can help you redirect and reorganize yourself in a way that is process driven? I can't stress that enough. Do you honestly think I have these conversations with Ken every single day? Like, I may as well be a fucking baby and get a bottle and put it in my mouth, right? It doesn't work that way. But because of this relationship that I built with Ken, and he's educating me and I'm building awareness, I'm process driven, which leads to the outcomes. Just like the story that I shared with the dads on Sunday night. You know, Stella's trying to climb down from a big jungle gym out of the park. Daddy, can you get me down? I'm like, no, you'll be okay. And I'm guiding her through it, educating her on where to put her foot, holding on strong. And the outcome's the same. I either grab her and put her down, or it takes a couple of times, 3 times longer, and she climbs down herself. But what I've given her and not taken away from her is confidence, a skill set, courage, commitment, experience, all these different parts that Stella has now gone, fuck, she's never climbed to the top of this jungle gym at our local park before. She just got down to the bottom on her own, instead of me killing the goose for the golden eggs and just pulling her down because we're in a rush, we need to go home. This is the value of having the right coach, someone like Ken in the area that I need for my life, especially when I'm struggling with sleep. We've noticed it's something that is systemic, but we know it's not something that's born out of chemical or emotional issues, Ken. It's a part of my lifestyle at this stage, having young children. But from there, absolutely, like today's already set. And I already knew, not that I'm saying I knew all the answers, but I already knew, because Ken's educated me on this before, exactly what he said is my routine this afternoon. I'm doing a meditation session. I'm doing stretching. I'm doing some breath work. I'm doing a little bit of journaling. And this takes me into the next part I wanted to share with my daily and weekly practices with you guys. The opportunity to slow down the world and just be present and stop everything. That's why nature's great, because you're exposing yourself to an environment that has massive significance. Look at a tree. It's a fucking 120 years old. It's like that. That brings your problems that you might think are big to a pretty minute area where you're like, wow, look at the world. It's why I love nature. Journaling. Yeah, your thoughts are faster than the speed of light. So when you can connect what you're thinking with the physiology of how fast your hand can move, ink, and write, you have to slow down. You can't keep going that fast. You have to slow down your thoughts, or you repeat them, which means you question them, which means you process them again and you work through them. So instead of a thought becoming an emotion, becoming reality, journaling's awesome. Music. A lot of the times I listen to 432 hertz. I try and slow down that beat, slow down that rhythm a little bit instead of the 440, which is a lot of the mainstream commercial shit that gets you jacked up at times. Don't get me wrong. Love heavy metal. Used to love techno, dance music. I love a range of music. But when I want to do things like what Ken suggests will be my best interest at heart of today, because last night was a nightmare, it's slowing down the music, going for a walk, getting out in nature, journaling, doing my breathing, which will develop over time as the evolution, the next step in mankind, absolutely, which we're working on now, coupled with the HRV, the sleep and everything else, which I love what we're doing in that area, Ken. It's really pioneering a space for fathers. But this is all process driven, guys. Like, I didn't plan to journal, do meditation and breath work this afternoon as something I just do every single day. It's something that was planned in a responsive state to go, you know what, this is what I've time blocked for Al, but how are we going to nurture Al? What do the actions look like? What do the processes look like? And then coupling that with your expert advice and then supplementation to make sure that I'm looking after my body and my health, Ken. So to break that down into a week, I'm getting my alignment. I'm nourishing and nurturing the energy, which is in a planned but responsive state, not reactive, responsive. All right. It's like a game of chess with yourself, isn't it? This has happened. This is what I now know I need to do. This has happened. This is what I know I need to do, which takes away a lot of mental stress, gets me set up for the week, makes sure I'm taking time out for me, and I've already organized my commitments for the family. And that's what I do. And what are your thoughts on some of those things, Ken? And I guess just breaking this down into a weekly rhythm and what I'm doing to counteract a lot of these challenges with the protein, with my training, with my spiritual, or bringing myself to center with slowing. If you want to call it spiritual, it's up to you guys. Use whatever terms you want. But this is me time. This is me just reconnecting with myself. But what are your thoughts on some of those things that I've just shared as well, mate? And some of your advice.
Yeah, the great stuff is that you definitely, with the journaling and everything else, you can see what you're doing and what's successful, and measuring and creating numbers and seeing what wins you've got on the board from a day and then a weekly basis is so important. Like, all successful people being at the high end, very, very high end entrepreneurs, people that incredibly successful, they are absolutely doing repetitive stuff. They have coaches, they have advisors on how they can body hack, or they can improve their quality of life, business decisions, all sorts of things comes down to knowing what to do and making sure that you have a game plan. Looking at yours, Al, and again, the thing is, and we talk about the 3 pillars as in what I believe in, and that's so important. And you've got your nutrition down, Pat, because we're looking at that, and there's a bit of flexibility in there. You put those 7 days of foods on the fridge. It doesn't matter what day you have fish, chicken, steak, whatever it is. There's flexibility within that. And we all need flexibility, because no one ever has the perfect life. Some may perceive to have the perfect life. But at the end of the day, we really need to have flexibility in everything that we do. And it's not about striving for one thing, it's striving for multiple things at many different levels, and knowing what you need to improve on a day-to-day basis and a week-to-week basis. So again, you've got meditation in there. That is so important. One of the biggest body hacks is really body temperature, how we can control body temperature. And guess what the perfect alignment is when you go to sleep. So if you're running too hot, eating protein within an hour before you go to bed, it's going to ignite your engine and you're going to be too hot going to sleep. This is where you can get away from all of the electronic devices within an hour before you go to bed. You can have a nice shower within, say, a half an hour before you go to bed to lower the core body temperature. And that in itself is going to help you sleep. Making sure that you haven't got any electronic devices within your bedroom, things like that. We've already spoken about that with you, Al, and you take those things away, and then all of a sudden it still doesn't help that you've got to get up 8 times or you're awake 8 times with the kids. But you know what? These are the little kind of turns on the dial that we can improve the quality of that, the quality of the sleep that whilst you're in there, even though you're awake so many times. And then we look at the other side of things. your physical side of things, the exercise program. We've designed you an exercise program. You've got flexibility within that. We know that your aim is to get 4 strength sessions in a week because that's what you can fit in. But you know what? One week you might only get 2 strength sessions in, and then there might be a little bit more, say, walking, flexibility, meditation, breathing stuff. But breathing is also physical. Yeah, when you're doing your breathing techniques, what you're doing is you're exercising your diaphragm, you're increasing or you're improving your posture and everything else. So going through that breathing technique, you're still doing something that's physical. And because of that, what you're doing is you're lowering your cortisol levels because you've had a shit night's sleep before or whatever it is. And what that is doing is actually helping your body recover a lot faster. The reason why we know it's helping your body recover a lot faster because we're looking at the algorithms within your Oura ring. So then we look at your readiness score through those algorithms and we go, hey, shit, we've had really 4 good scores this week over a 7-day period. And we know that if I would have told you, no, bullshit, I want you to go through those 4 intense sessions and that would have still elevated the cortisol levels, that wouldn't have been able to come down. So then all of a sudden, this is this short stress, the short-term stress, the medium-term stress, and the long-term acute stress. And this is where the problem lies. It's about knowing, okay, when do I need to back off? When do I need to kind of implement those anti-inflammatory foods? When do I need to kind of back off my training? And this is the week for you because of the start of the week, your sleep isn't the best. If we can improve your quality sleep over the next 1 to 3 days, well, then we're going to get major wins on the board. And so this is why that I've equipped you with the tools and you've got the education now to know, okay, yeah, I need to do my meditation today because my last night's sleep pattern has been absolutely terrible. And then we look at tomorrow. And if it's a shit night again tonight, guess what? Go for a walk for 45 minutes, clear the head, do some breathing practices while you're walking. And then all of a sudden, here we go again. We're kind of lowering those cortisol levels down. You'll know to keep those fats up in your diet tomorrow. Instead of having, say, chicken or steak or whatever's on the plan tomorrow night, you'll know that you can have those high anti-inflammatory foods like salmon or fish or avocado or whatever else within your nutrition plan, so that then it lowers those cortisol levels again. And then guess what? Come Thursday, what we can do is we can potentially then look at those sleep patterns, what the quality of sleep is, and then all of a sudden you might increase your workout, the strength workout on Thursday by another 10%. You might actually go through, instead of a 45-minute to an hour session, you might be able to slip in that hour session, and then you might be able to go for an additional walk in the afternoon, spend a bit of time with the kids, the wife, and whatever else. So that is what it's all about, knowing what tools to use and using them for when you need to use them. That's so important.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the fats. I've actually got a whole avocado with me today to throw in with my lunch. And this is what I love about everything Ken's just shared then, guys. Like, it's building that intrinsic knowledge inside of yourself, but then having the tune-ups. Because otherwise, the chaos of life, right? I start to forget. I'm like, oh, that's right. Ken said this, or Ken did this, or Ken subscribed and got me some of these digestive enzymes that I know are going to help me from a gut health point of view. And it all adds up. This is the value of having that flexibility. It's such an important thing that Ken's sharing here. You know, what we do as men, we tap into the psychology of pulling different levers with and for you that are going to, really help accumulate success in your life, which is problem solving, getting clear on the facts, tracking the right numbers, having that adherence, follow through, having the flexibility, but knowing that flexibility can still mean victory and you will still win, because a lot of you guys out there are too rigid. You are too rigid in your approach. You need to be flexible. And you know what? If Thursday's still shit, Ken, that's okay. I can actually lower the intensity. Look, Ken, it's been 3 days, mate. I really want to train. Out of those 4 sessions, a couple are an hour 15, one's half an hour, one's 45. I'm going to hit the half hour. You know what? I really want to do the 45 because it's got exercise in there that I love. So I'm going to create a mental and emotional connection and stimulus. I'm just going to cruise, mate. Instead of hitting 80, 90 kilos on those power cleans, mate, I'm just going to go through it 50. I'm going to breathe, drink water. The little kids will be in there. They'll be in their playpen and they'll be watching daddy, and I'll make it an experience where I'm just moving and enjoying the process as opposed to bashing myself. I'm getting leaner, Ken, by doing less. I don't know if it's the cortisol or what, mate, but fuck, I'm leaning up and getting strong by doing less but being more effective. And I love that, because we need to be the picture of health for these men to show them, you know what, we have plenty of shit. And we'll throw to your routines in a second, but we have plenty of shit that we go through too, plenty of challenges and adversities that take up different forms, different faces. But we're all in this, and this is what it's about, how we continually turn up and respond so we can create. So not being reactive, but being creative and being the creator of our own pathway by adjusting what's most important for us. Just before we throw to Ken, like a lot of you guys, I need you to just take a moment here for a second. You know, think about the chaos in your life. You're trying to establish or repair your relationships in your marriage. You're trying to get your marriage to a stage where it's blossoming and flourishing again. You can't be rigid and think that you're going to become Mr. Olympia or you want to become a powerlifting champion and neglect time with your family or with your children because of something you just created as a solid pillar inside of your life that has to be so. The game keeps changing. The game has changed. You can't be stuck in the old ways or be stubborn in things that you think are benefiting the family because you're healthy or strong or making money or doing this or doing it in certain areas. Or I am a family man now. I am actually great. I have a great relationship with my wife, my children. Yeah, that might be so, but if your health is fucked, mate, how many more years do you think you have, right? Do you think your family wants a great father for the next 40 years or for the next 4 years? What would you pick? So I need you guys to really just kick back and take in a lot of what Ken's saying, what we're sharing, what I'm sharing as well, and being flexible, but building your own level of intelligence, which is awareness and alignment together in family, self, and service. These are the balls that we're juggling, Ken. They may be rubber, but if they turn to stone, they're going to be hard to pick up. If they turn to glass, they're going to shatter. Yep. Don't fucking drop the balls that matter most, you know. And that's something I just want you guys to take a break for a second and analyze inside of your own life and ask yourself, well, where am I not communicating and creating clarity with my family? Where am I being stubborn to a plan or process? Like I've got nothing against a lot of the wealthy people in the world, and wealth is not just money, but wealth in life, and they talk about the 5 a.m. club, or you got to get up at 4:30 every day, blah, blah, blah. Their kids might be 15, 18, and 21, and they get a good sleep and they don't wake up. Or they may be in a different position where, you know what, they get up at 4:30, like the fucking Rock and Arnie and whatnot, but they've got all their professional chefs making all their food, and they sleep for an hour at midday every fucking day. Well, of course they can do that. So everyone's different. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like Ken has an amazing routine, and he does get up early almost every single day, if not every day. But it's all surface level stuff if you read it from someone who isn't working with you one-to-one to develop a game plan and then making that absolute and going, I researched this and this guy says you have to get up at 5 a.m. every day. It's like, okay, does that guy know what your life is? Has he got your game plan? Has he worked out your sleep scores, your heart rate scores? Has he done blood work with you? Have you done a DEXA scan? What's your visceral fat like? Okay. What are your genetics like? How's that moving forward? What are your goals? What actually? Of course they're not. It's a book or a fucking article you've gone and researched on a search engine, right? But just bear that in mind, guys. Like this is why what we do is so successful with Ken and the other coaches on the inside, because we navigate your pathway. Not this is the way, these are the solutions, but where do these solutions fit into your pathway? But I'm keen, Ken, talk to us, mate. What is your week and day look like? And bear in mind, mate, we've only got 3 hours left, so I know you've got a phenomenal routine.
I suppose really the most important thing is about having structure. That's what this is all about, and again, just making sure that the 3 pillars that we're working on, we are heading in the right direction. It doesn't matter that sometimes you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. That's where the flexibility comes in. That's where knowing what to do and when to do it. It doesn't have to be, follow it by the exact routine. There's flexibility in everything. So to give you a little bit of a rundown on my day-to-day routine, and I'll kind of pull it together from, I'll give you just my Monday being yesterday. So my average day is waking up at 4 o'clock. At the moment, because of all the COVID stuff, I can get up at 4:30 because it's still dark in the morning. Obviously, the clinics and the gyms that I work at the moment are closed because of, again, COVID. But from 4:30, my general day is a 4 a.m. wake up. Yesterday was 4:30. I'd get up. I've got a half an hour. I'll have my supplements and whatever else in the morning. I'll organise myself a nice coffee, as in not iced coffee, but a coffee to put in the car as I drive in. It's an hour and 20-minute drive into Sydney from literally 5 o'clock to 6:15 in the morning. What I don't do is I don't waste that time. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm listening to stuff. I'm upskilling. I'm making sure the night before I'm looking at what do I want to learn more about? What is it that is on the schedule from looking at body as in physical or emotional stuff? What do I want to work on there? Once I get into Sydney, then the next 15 minutes, I'm unloading the car because I have to train people in the park and do consults in the park. From there, I'll do a training session with one of my good mates who I'm doing an hour and 15-minute training session from literally 6:30, 6:40 through to 8 o'clock. And then I'm doing back-to-back sessions from 8 a.m. literally till 3 p.m. during that time period in the day. And when I say I'm doing back-to-back sessions, I'm folding one person into the next, into the next, into the next. It is 8 hours back-to-back. I'll be drinking my water during the day. I'll make sure I'll get in 1.5 liters to 2 liters of water. I'll have some of my digestive enzymes. But what I do when I'm doing work like that, I'm fasting. So I'm not really eating anything during the day. So I choose those days to meet by fasting. So I'll do anywhere up to about a 16-hour fast. That's kind of part of what I do, like from 4 days, because Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm traveling into Sydney. And then from there, at the end, when I finish, I'll generally pack up. It's another 15 minutes to 20 minutes to pack things up. And then I'll be back in the car again. And then I'll be making phone calls to whoever I need to make phone calls. I'll have my protein shake at the end, like at the end of the day. I'll make sure I'm having some biltong as I'm driving home. But also, if I don't have to make phone calls, here I am again listening to podcasts. So on an average, I'm getting about 2 hours a day minimum of upskilling, and that's 4 to 5 days a week. So there's my 10 hours of really learning about stuff. So I'm not wasting time. I'm not listening to music. I'm really, really utilizing that time to be, I'm very proactive about what I want to be doing and things like that. So I'm not wasting it. Remember, this is a hobby for me. I really, really love this. This is my passion. This is what I do. And then once I get home, generally I'll either be kind of, one of those phone calls will be ringing my wife to see how the kids have gone for the day, especially with the homeschooling, whatever else. She's either been pulling her hair out or things have been a great day. They've gone out and done a little bit of activity. They've gone to the beach, etc. And then I'll have a look and see what we're going to, if I need to get food, some grass-fed meat or whatever else from the butchers on the way home. Once I get home, then it's generally a bit of an issue because it's about seeing which kids or which one are the two of the children that I'm going to be cuddling first. So it's a bit of a game plan to try and see which one I can spend time with, or both of them. And then from then, it's literally dinner time. It's working on kind of get things organized, seeing how things are going, cooking dinner, spending a bit of family time. And then from there, it's generally I'm doing a little bit of reading, a bit of research, jumping on, doing some Zoom meetings, catching up with people, whether it be through emails. Like right now at the moment, a friend of mine, Pat Farmer, who's doing a 1,000-mile run. So I'm liaising with him about what he's doing. I've got another mate who's doing the English Channel, who's a farmer. He's been training for 2 years. And so I'm helping him with his nutrition. And then I'm looking at all the other aspects of what's going on. So this is my Monday to Friday daily routine. Then I'll spend a little bit of time, hopefully reading, doing a little bit of breath work before I go to sleep and whatever else. So then I'm hopefully in bed by 9:30 at the latest. So I'm getting at least my 7 to 7.5 hours sleep every night. Give you an idea on what changes. Like last night, the Matildas were playing soccer, and it's my wife and my son and I, and that we're watching that till 11 o'clock last night. So guess what happens? That's not my normal day. So there I have what I've done is that I'm going to have to body hack. So this morning I chose to sleep in a little bit longer. Then the kids are going to get up. They're going to get online this morning. So my wife and I went down to the beach. We got ourselves a coffee, sat there and just took in a little bit of, like a little bit of quality time together where we spent a half an hour just watching the sun and having a coffee and just having a chat about how her day's going, how my day's going, and what I've got planned for the day, what she's got planned for the week, etc. So that's a typical day in my life. When it comes to the weekend, it was my wife's birthday on the weekend. What we did is my daughter, she cooked up scones. We didn't eat anything for breakfast. We did like an intermittent fasting till lunchtime. We had a few scones. Hey, that's not in my diet, but I had a protein shake. I increased my protein levels. Did I hit my protein levels at the end of Saturday? Absolutely not. Did I have a bit of birthday cake? Absolutely. Did I have a bit of shit food? But it was a 1 day out of my 7 days that I had crap food. But that's part of it. And then we spent 2.5 hours at the beach in the afternoon. I did a workout. The kids had a swim. My wife caught up with a friend on the beach. And that's kind of what we do at the nighttime. When it comes to nighttime, I read my book. I did a little bit of breathing stuff. I did my workout. So these things aren't the typical day of I suppose, the average person. This is really about having structure in your life. And what I always look to is making sure 90% of my day, when it comes to physical, emotional, and chemical, I make sure that I'm hitting my 90%ers. But guess what? On Saturday, I didn't. But that doesn't matter because it was 1 out of 7 days. And so then I made sure my Sunday was a much, much better day, and I hit a 95%. Yeah, percent of my day was great again. But that's what I choose to do. That's my lifestyle. And I just want to give you guys a little bit of insight what happens with me when I sometimes deal with professionals. So this is my day. 90% of the time, on average, I always hit my 90%ers, being my sleep, my nutrition, and my exercise. No matter what happens, I guarantee from week to week, month to month, I will hit those 90%ers. And then when I speak to professionals and they dictate to me about what would you know about health and wellness, and they start trying to give me their opinions when they don't even hit 50% within their life, and then they have the audacity to try and dictate or educate to me about life and lifestyle, my God, yeah, I'm ready to jump in the ring, talk about Rocky Balboa. I'm happy to go toe-to-toe with these people. Show me your percentages. Show me what you're doing with your life. This is why when someone is dictating to you about what you should be doing in your life and they are absolutely not practicing what they preach, God damn it, it absolutely frustrates me no end. You ask any one of my friends, anyone at all, and I promise you now, they will be able to tell you what my lifestyle is all about. I promise you, there is no bullshit when it comes to me. There is no foggy glasses. I can guarantee every one of the people that I come in contact with, they will absolutely back up everything that I say about what I do and what I practice. And that's what's super important. And like I said, I'll give you that little snapshot on what I do from day to day. And it really is like in my garage, there's maybe $30,000 worth of gym equipment. If I come in contact with people, I'm giving some of this stuff away because I want them to get those 1%ers. I want them to improve their quality of life. Every conversation, no matter where I go, it's all about how I can help them improve those 1%ers in their life. And that's my life. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, great shares, Ken. And you guys can see or hear the passion coming through because Ken loves what he does. And look, some of you guys may be in a professional or in a career where it may not be something that you love, and that's okay. But all you need to do is ask yourself the question, well, where are you getting control and freedom back inside your life? What Ken's explaining there, he still watch TV, watch the Matildas, still has flexibility to go to the beach, spend time with his wife, with his kids, invest in himself. You know, when I'm hearing the day laid out, I can look at it and be like, oh, it's jam-packed, there's no time for Ken. But well, hang on. He educated himself and hit that stimulus of what he appeals to in his drive with podcasts and research and whatnot. He does training sessions. He makes sure that he's smart around his nutrition, whether he is fasting, whether he's got his meat prepared, if it's biltong in the car on the way home, other bits and pieces, as well as getting grass-fed meat, so he's eating well. When he gets home, organising himself around his family, reading. Like these are all great things, Ken. We know you're the living embodiment of a high-performance father, and you know, at your age, there'd be very few in the world that would even come close to your level of health, mate, which is awesome. What frustrates me is when people look at your sort of routine and they're like, how does he do it all? I don't have time for that. And coupled with the whole, like you said about the doctors do as I say, not as I do. You can't go preaching to your kids and saying this sort of shit if you don't look after yourself and organise yourself first. But those of you who are saying, I don't have time for that, I'm too busy, flat out, blah, blah, that's cool. Just bring up your phone and go to the settings section and go to screen time and send me an email with a screenshot of how much you actually use the phone, because you'd be very surprised when you see it's well over 40 hours a week. That's a lot of time, Ken. Or you look at something like what Ken's talking about with watching the Matildas. How often do you watch television every single night? Or this is the crazy part, mate. And it's not to judge some of you guys out there. This is a wake-up call. I don't want fans or followers. I want leaders. We want leaders. We want you to lead with us in setting a standard of what a father can, will, and should be. Now, I look at what you shared, Ken, and some guys might think it's monotonous or mundane or boring. I don't. I think it's fucking amazing. That's an awesome routine to have. But the problem is, because they don't value or respect themselves or invest in themselves, they're looking at trinkets and treats like a fucking buffet of TV shows, sedation and distraction through drugs, alcohol, television. Yeah, alcohol's obviously a drug, but you know what I mean? Whether it's smoke, cigarettes, poor food, eating different foods for different chemical releases, whether it's saturating themselves in different types of products, which are superficial. They're not really foods. And all of a sudden, the marriage is falling down now. It's not great. I just don't. It's like, well, mate, where's your head at? Do you have the clarity and focus inside yourself to actually listen to your wife, what she says, what she wants, and then enact that? Do you have the energy to back that up and help out around the house or help with the kids? Or you just kick back and think, okay, I'm putting more digits in the bank account. That's my role as a father. Fuck, mate. You can have it all. You can win in family, self, and service. Too often guys think it's not possible. It's hard, Ken, but it is possible. When you actually reorganize your life, you've got a shitload of time. Yesterday, mate, because of how everything worked and with Sunday, getting good sleep and reorganizing the day and what I had with our coaching team and setting them up, I had most of the day. So I spent most of the day doing an amazing training session, spending time with the kids, cooking good food, doing landscaping in the backyard, getting some vitamin D, hitting the sun, shirt off out the back, building a play set for them and making sure that's all great, spending time with the family. It was a phenomenal day. Now, do all of you have that luxury? Maybe, maybe not. It comes down to your belief systems and how you organize yourself in your week ahead, which means today I'm working all day on this and doing this podcast with you. Tomorrow's planned and booked out. Thursday's time with the wife, time with the kids, and work in itself. Training session will be tomorrow, if not Thursday. So you can always adjust and adapt, but I don't know, Ken, you tell me, mate, like when you've got guys that are spending 10 to 15 hours a week on television, as well as scrolling through their phones 30 to 50 hours a week, as well as drinking alcohol and not being healthy, one, they're giving away the most valuable resource, time. Two, they don't have the energy and gas tank to perform, which means three, they've got less time and things that they want to do take longer anyway because they don't have the energy to do it efficiently. That's madness, mate.
Mate, I'll tell you what's really interesting. I chat to, obviously, many people from day to day, week to week. And what really does amaze me is about how many TV or how much TV time they do get to watch. Like a lot of people ask me, I watched this series and I did this and I did that. And I get it. Everyone, if they've got time to do that, that's all good. But if their health's not in order and yet they've got hours and hours, like you're saying, you look at your screen time, you look at the TV time, as in from your phone to the television, and you look at yourself and I don't get, like, there's no better time now to then really plan your days and go, okay, listen, if I'm going to have screen time, I get it. People need their phone for their work. I totally understand that. But is it really for work? And that's what it comes down to. You really got to be honest to yourself and seeing what, at the end of the day, if I've been awake here for 16 hours, what have I done over those 16 hours? Journal your day over the next 1 day, 3 days, 7 days, and have a look at where you're spending quality time and whether they're wins on the board or whether they're losses. And at the end of the day, like I can sit here and say, I can read and whatever else. And I know everything that I read, I might only pick, I don't know, one incredible amount of bit of information, and I might read for, say, 6 or 8 hours. But that's upskilling. That's something that's really, really beneficial to me because I'm not getting this electromagnetic, stimulation and whatever else from laptops or from iPhones or from the computers. All of these things here are really, really, you've got to kind of take control on where you're spending quality time. Listen, I'm not the best with technology. I'll put my hand up with that. And hence why I suppose, someone else might be incredibly good and be able to kind of spend 2 hours in front of their computer, and they might be, and it might take me 10 hours to get the same amount of work done. But what I look at there is look at what you're really good at. And then if you can journal that and have a look at where the quality is, then have a look at any of those 2, 4, 6, 8 hours during that day. Is it something that you're striving towards to improve your quality of life? Is it really something to enhance your performance, whether it be physical, emotional, or chemical? is it beneficial or is it detrimental to your health? And I get it. We all need to earn a living, and people have different levels of earnings and whatever else. But at the end of the day, if you haven't got your health, it means jack shit that you've got loads of health, like wealth, yeah, as in monetary value. And that's something that I've always been a big advocate of. Like, it's nice to have, like the bank account with the numbers ticking over, but like you're saying, the quality within the years of your life is what's most important. And at the end of the day, this is what I strive and to tell people, like, at the end of the day, if you don't have your health, well, then what's it worth to you? What's it really worth to you?
Yeah, and it's look, this has been a great episode, Ken. I've really enjoyed this because everything you're saying just rings true. And you guys think that whether you think that we're perfect or have it made or not, you're wrong. It's a constant work. Like, even listening to Ken, it helps me remember what I need to do. It's all, you're 90% there, have the answer. We fine tune the 1%, and that's what increases a monstrous opportunity to life, legacy, and all those moving parts. But even to get 90% there, you guys are pretty close to the mark. If you go through all of our podcasts and download our free resources and whatnot, shit, man, if you're self-sustaining and self-efficient, you'd carve out some pretty amazing changes from where you currently are to where you can at least get to. You will hit a glass ceiling. You do, if you want that next level. That's why we're here. It's why we have multiple tiers in our memberships as well for different fathers. But this is the interesting point. I wanted to share then this entire episode, what Ken's talking about, what we've gone through a day in the life of us, how we're responding and creating and adjusting as we need to. It all comes down to the universal issue or flaw that we all have as a race or as a species, Ken, which is a lack of self-value. That's what this is. At a universal level, you guys listening to us, watching this, if you don't track your time and organize your shit and get it together so you can have control over your time and your energy, you're not valuing yourself. If you're not establishing the right relationships with your wife or with your children, you're not connecting to the things that are connected to you in your life by standing up and being a better leader inside of yourself, you're not valuing yourself. Call it self-love, self-respect, self-value. You might think you do, you don't, because you can do more. There is more. There's more opportunity, more possibilities. It always comes down to self-value and worth, and the truth always wins, Ken. So what Ken was saying is exactly that. Have a look at your screen time. Journal what you're actually doing. Bring up the real truth. Don't become delusional or in denial and then create your own truths from a memory, which becomes fictitious because it's not reality. Actually find out, write down. I woke up at 8 a.m. I scrolled for 45 minutes. Then I had a shower at 8:45 because I'm working from home. Then I had a coffee and some crumpets with fucking jam on them. Write it all down. Because when guys come to me like, Al, I can't change, this isn't happening, blah, blah, and I look at them like, man, there's no way you're on 600 calories a day. What does that even mean? You're fucking kidding me, mate. You'd be dead. You're 115 kilos. You're not on 600 calories a day. You'd be in a hospital, or you'd be shot. So the truth always wins. And when you can bring that up, you can then reorganize yourself. If you want to have social media time, awesome. Good for you. When we do these podcasts, Ken, this is what I do. I re-download Facebook and Instagram on my phone because it's so easy. I can save the photo when I do up our little photo that we do for our session. I save it, I download it, I copy the text, I paste, I email it to myself, then I download it, I pump it on Instagram, on Facebook, then from my phone, it's really easy to put it on stories. So I put it on my stories so I can use this phone. I download Facebook and Instagram and I use it for what I need it for, and then I delete it. So if you guys want to have social media time, that's great, but delete the apps off your phone. When you want to have time out for you, whether it's in the evening, in the morning, lunchtime, re-download them. It takes a minute. Takes fuck all time, but the actual very simple roadblock and resistance of you having to go to the app store, type in Facebook, download it, wait till it downloads, open it up, that in itself is just enough for you to go, fuck it, I'll just check it later. Which means when I dive in and I see the little 9+ notifications, I'm like, man, I got a shitload of notifications here. I'm like, and I can scroll through 15 seconds and be like, one of those is important. Cool. Respond to Corinne, who's posted a picture of our kids. It's Stella's birthday or blah, blah, blah. No worries. Bang, done. Whereas what you'll chew up in looking for that one notification every 15 to 45 minutes, not only does it take time, Ken, but it takes capacity and focus away from what you're currently working on, which means you'll never get in depth in what you're doing. It'll always be surface level in input, in service, in work, in yourself, in your training, scrolling through social media while you train, like all that sort of shit. Spending time with your wife on the phone while you're in her presence. it's all energy, right? And you're not going to have that expression of energy if you don't organize your day to get structure together to make sure that, one, you're flexible, but two, you're focusing on the most important things. And we'll wrap up with your final thoughts on this, Cam. But the reason why I share that with you guys, a couple of tactics and strategies, is really to help you understand that whilst this is a day in the life of, and sharing Ken and I's perspective, game plan, adjustments, and routines, it all comes down to first organizing yourself and getting aligned with what's most important for you. And more often than not, you're bleeding and wasting minutes and hours that just don't matter. You're not going to lay on your deathbed and go, fuck, Vikings was awesome. Game of Thrones was awesome. Breaking Bad was a great series. I really enjoyed that. Like, I watch Vikings. I watched Game of Thrones years ago. I don't watch TV anymore, and I don't drink alcohol. For that reason, I've got too much life to live. But you're not going to kick back in your deathbed and going, yeah, I wish I watched a few more TV series or the top 10 that kept being put in my face on Netflix. I'm cherishing when I look in my children's eyes, Ken, and I'm building them out in little play sets and we're having laughter together and I'm tickling them and they're jumping on my back. And it's like, man, this is life. This is a beautiful experience of bringing right back down to the present. But what are some of your final thoughts, mate, as we wrap this episode up and I guess some key takeaways from what we've gone through as well?
Like the big thing is what we've said from the start is people need to really be proactive in their day-to-day and their week-to-week lives. Like that's what's really important. And it's not rocket science. It really is trying to get people in the right mindset to go, you know what, really convince themselves that they can do this. And if they need a hand to map this out, that's generally what most people might find, that they've got all the answers. No one has all the answers within creating a better lifestyle. I know they may think they've got some of the right direction, but at the end of the day, you really need to engage in people that know their shit, that are they're living and breathing what they preach. And that's really important. And that's why you need to look at the quality. You need to kind of really ask yourself questions that the quality of information, is it real or is it just superficial? And that's why with me, as I'm always asking questions, I'm always not sitting and taking on what my friend or a professional or whoever else it is within the conversation that I'm having. I really want to know whether it's good information or shit information. We get loads of stuff that comes through our heads every day. And it's really, really important that the quality of information that you are constantly ingesting, whether it be through social media, whether it be through the television, whether it be through your friends, whether it be through the professionals that you see or work with, really is that quality information. And is that the direction I want to kind of go within my life? What you've got to look at is over the last 6 months, over the last 1, 3, 5 years, where you've come from. Do you really want to make change? Is this coming from you, or is someone else directing you or pushing you into that direction? Who is actually giving you the information to push you in that direction? Are you making I'm trying to think of the right word here. Are you creating the thoughts because of someone else has directed you, or are you taking control? Are you being a follower or are you being a leader? This is now time to lead. This is really now time to think about what's happened in the past and now take control of your own life. And this is what it's all about. No time better than now, with all the bullshit that's going on around us, is really to go, right, yeah, now I'm going to invest in my health and I'm going to take control, and I'm now going to ask questions. When someone tells me something, I'm really going to start to take control, and I want to ask questions. And if you don't know what questions to ask, I'm here, I'm available. I'll give you the amount or the right questions to ask when you're dealing with people, to know whether it's superficial or it really, really is deep and they understand what they're talking about. That's really, really important. So now is the time to make change, not tomorrow, but today. And that's what's most important.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Ken. Great way to wrap up the session too. You know, take control of what you can control, your own actions, and from that, you can develop the right certainty, build stability, and get freedom. It's what we all desire: freedom to live and express life more often than not, the way that we want, the way that we choose. And you can't do that by going alone. You must invest in yourself. I've invested over 150 grand in coaches, courses, mentors, programs, and besides the fact that I've more than returned that because of how I've leveled up and upgraded myself from a monetary point of view, that's irrelevant. That's a byproduct because of who I've become and investing in myself. What am I going to do with that money in the bank account, Ken? I'll probably fucking lose it, mate, because I'll continually move away from who I can become and then suppressing who I can become. And instead of growing, I get in a scarcity mindset like most people in settling, holding on, waiting to retire one day. So I spend 40 years fucking hating my life so I can then spend the last 10 or 15 years just kicking back. And more often than not, I've lost my health as well. I'm waiting on the ability to do whatever I want when really I'm not looking after myself at that time period like so many don't. And I don't even have the physical ability to go and express life. And then whether you guys agree with retirement or not, I mean, I'll never retire. That word just doesn't make any sense to me. But it's the principles behind and the energy behind investing in yourself now so you can live and win in the second half. You can live a true second half, like Ken said, as a leader, not a lagger, not a follower, or someone who's just blindly ignorant. Thanks again for joining us, Ken. Amazing episode, mate. I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really, really some key points just to take away and really try and stay focused the best you can.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Any questions, like Ken offered, if you do have any questions, hit us up, admin@realdadmovement.com.au. That's admin@realdadmovement.com.au. If you ever need guidance, help, or any different challenges, things that we're going to be rolling out, and any assistance you need, direction, our podcasts, our YouTube channels, just reach out. We are always here and willing to help, guide, and serve you. It's what we do. It's what we love doing. Whether you're not a member, whether you're a member on the inside, this is what brings us not only fulfillment and rewards, but it actually helps Ken and I stay aligned and true to us and what's important, because we live and breathe the message personally and professionally for you guys. Take care. Join us for another episode soon. Cheers.
Thank you.